just happened over time, and Mayank basically trusted me with this. I also never thought I'll be doing this or managing a product as
We
such.
never do, man. We never do. We just
Yep.
go with the flow. That's essentially, I mean, when we talk about our
Never
story.
thought I'll be doing this or managing a product as
We
such.
never do, man. We never do. We just
Yep.
go with the flow. That's essentially, I mean, when
Same.
we talk about our
Never
story.
thought I'll be doing this or managing a product
Seems to
as
be
We
such.
never do, man. We never do. We just
Yep.
go with the flow. That's
serious.
essentially, I mean, when we talk about our
Never
story.
thought I'll be doing this or managing a product
Seems to
as
be
We
such.
never do, man. We never do. We just go.
Okay.
That's
serious.
essentially, I mean, when we talk about our story.
What I'll be doing. Yep. Now we're good. I
Oh.
guess we had the stream running in the background just to check, and he was sharing sound. So we normally play some music for everyone before we start the session.
Right.
Cool. So Piyush, we're good to go.
Oops, sorry guys. Yep, all good. We are live.
Okay.
Let's get going.
Yeah, I'm used to it by now. Cool. So hey guys, hi everyone. This is Manas from Outscal, and today with me I have Mikhail and Pravan from Dirtcube. Mikhail comes from the research what I did. He basically comes from a tech background, did his bachelor's in USC in computer science. Pravan, on the other hand, comes from a more business administration background, more research-driven analysis, data-driven analysis, I'm assuming. Worked for a lot of fintech companies, and basically, I was actually curious as to what both of your roles are when you actually started off, because you, Mikhail, for example, started off fairly early, because when I started off, my idea was I'm going to learn the ropes and see what game development is, and then I'll think about starting my own thing.
Right.
Whereas for you, you just started off right, I'm guessing, after graduation.
Pretty much, yeah.
What
So,
was the motivation behind it? And can you guys give us a quick intro of what you do, what your roles are inside the company as well?
absolutely. So yeah, essentially I got, like you said, I did my bachelor's in computer science with a focus in game development from USC. And I got done in 2014 and I came back end of 2014, early 2015. Then for about an entire year, actually, I was just kind of, I had the opportunity to travel to like GDC, E3, consumer electronics. Essentially, my plan was to just kind of get a lay of the land, and I prepared like my own little research report of what the gaming industry in the world was, just for my knowledge and everything, right? And then yeah, like I had, this is going to sound pretty cliche, but I had always wanted to start my own thing. And so essentially for 1 year, I just spent time traveling and learning skills on my own, like by then all Udemy and everything were up. So iOS development, game development, Unity, everything, like got a broad understanding of it. And then I came back and I was kind of thinking of what I wanted to do. And by that time, like Pravan also was about to finish graduation, right?
Yeah. So yeah, when Mikhail was starting off, and like when he had just started Dirtcube and started working on our first product, which at that time was a social media app, I was at like the last stage. I was like in my last semester of college, and so I started working with Mikhail. We're actually cousins. So yeah, so we started working together, and I honestly fell in love with what we were doing. So it wasn't like a direct decision for me to like jump into entrepreneurship. It was more like something I stumbled upon. We started working on it. I was looking for like a job and like something in the fintech space because that was like my outlook at that point.
You were doing your CFA at that time.
I was doing my CFA as well.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, we just like, once you stumble into building the company, we started like recruiting, we started setting up a team. It just became something I fell in love with. And I think I've transitioned more from like, though I have my finance background, a great, like I'm still like totally into that. But I think like I've transformed more into someone who has a product. Like I'm more like a product guy over here in what we do. And since it's a startup, yeah, I mean, what do you really want to?
At the moment, obviously, I handle the most of the tech side of things, right? Like because of my background and such. Then even the creatives, like the visuals and everything that we do. Product design, we both kind of work on designing the product itself. Then Pravan manages like the main overarching strategy of how we push it forward. I handle the development, the actual management, and all of that. And
it's finally a startup, right, guys? So like we're doing everything. So we basically are running everything from like marketing, branding, product, execution, operations. we're doing everything. So we've dipped our toes into things and struggled also doing that.
It's a good
Trying to learn
collaboration
everything.
because of like the confluence of like finance, tech, and all that. And so essentially the story of what we have been doing at Dirtcube is like we started off with, like you said, our social media app called CapShot, which is like a meme sharing platform, right? That was like our flagship product where we got a lot of experience on just general development and product building, design, UI, UX, all of that, server side, social, everything. Then because of my gaming background, we also said, okay, let's try something on the gaming front. And we jumped into hyper casual games. Actually, before hyper casual games, we have a game which is live on the stores right now called Rainbow Riders. It's a puzzle game. That is a full-fledged, like fully featured game, everything. But then, yeah, then we started working on hyper casuals. Now, hyper casuals, I don't know if any one of these guys has experience with hyper casuals. It's a very different development cycle. It's just constant prototyping, putting it out there, testing, data driven, which is Pravan's specialty. And then after a while, we work with a lot of publishers. We work like Voodoo, Quali, all of them, but it just wasn't satisfying enough. So we kind of started thinking of what we can do that would be more under our control, something that we could truly sink our teeth into and like think long term rather than just like immediate quick cycling and all.
And also bring the best of both of like what both of us bring to the table.
Absolutely.
Like together, right? Like we both obviously are learning off each other while we're doing. I think I've learned a lot about tech through Mikhail and working in a tech company for the past 3 years. And Mikhail at the same time, I think we bouncing off ideas. We're getting like, so this whole crypto space and like the finance that is involved in that, we're basically learning from each other at the same time.
And so I think the current product that we have is the first product that the entire company, like not just like the games department or the app department, everyone has come together to build this together, and we'll obviously showcase it to you during this session. So yeah, like that is essentially our story so far.
Yep. You mentioned one important thing, like you did your own research for like a year after graduating from USC itself, while going to GDC, E3, etc.
Right.
How important was that experience for you as like a proper game developer experience? Since I'm guessing, did you actually go work at companies over there, or were you just exploring the space at that time?
No, I was just exploring the space. And so I'm one of those people that I kind of tend, when I learn something myself out of my own interest and anything, that's when I actually remember it. If someone tells me to learn something, theek hai yaar, idhar se aaya, udhar se gaya, like so like out of my own interest, like I just wanted to learn, because then see, college, my bachelor's, they give you the foundations to understand the space. And then the main thing is they teach you how to figure things out for yourself, become a problem solver, right? So if that foundation is strong, then whatever I pick up, like right now I'm fluent in about like 10, 15 programming languages.
Yep.
So that comes purely from like, because my fundamentals of the basics of programming were strong, then just like diving in and learning things for myself, figuring it out, messing up. That's how I learned. Yeah.
Yep, like we also emphasize when we are teaching these guys Unity, these guys are more like, if we are using C# in Unity, why are you asking us to learn C++, right? And I'm like, you learn C++, everything else.
Everyone should know C++. If you don't know C++, go back and learn it.
Yep. Yep. So just to elaborate, how important was the US aspect of it? Do you recommend people to like go for masters abroad? Because I, for example, in 2020, I had decided, okay, nothing is happening over here. I'll be stuck doing like simple service-based games. I want to work on something big. I had made up my mind that I'll go abroad and I'll do masters. And at that time, just COVID hit. I found Outscal. Everything just changed after that. So how, according to you, how important is that experience for someone who basically wants to upskill themselves or go to like good companies in the long run as well?
So I think first of all, I think we have a little differing opinions on this, but let's go one at a time. So my opinion is that, see, a master's should be something that like you said, like it's an upskill, like, you know, like if just for the sake of it, like, like I did a bachelor's, now I want to do a master's, and then I want to get a job. I don't think it's essentially that necessary. In the end, like it's more about like your interest and wanting to specialize in a particular subject or learn something completely new, right? Like if you do a undergrad in business, but then you want to learn something in tech, then maybe a master's makes sense, right? So that's my opinion. Like, you want to...
I mean, my thing is, I really feel like a master's or going abroad to study is more of an exposure game, right? Like if you want that exposure, you maybe want access to opportunities over there, and that's what you're looking for, then great. But I don't think it's absolutely necessary in terms of just upskilling. I think the amount of information that is available today in terms of learning, I don't think your learning will ever be impacted by going to college. Also, which college you go to does not have such a big impact on what you learn. It's more like, and I think certain fields, it's very like it could be really helpful. Like today, if you want, say, a finance, like you want a degree from the top thing to then go get a top job in like a Goldman Sachs or a JP Morgan, it might help to have that thappa on you. But I don't think if you're, I think like learning what you can learn, especially in a tech driven field and like working and recruiting in that field for the past 3 years, I think there are far more people who sometimes don't have that college education background, who are far better than people who have that college education background. So I think in today's world, it's totally changed because I think the learning opportunities are there wherever you go.
Yeah. Like I would say, like whatever development skills and all that I have currently, and I think that's all self-taught. Like I was not taught iOS development. Like Unity development was like very basic stuff that they taught us. Of course, whatever we needed to figure out for our advanced projects and all that we had to do on our own, right? But now, like whatever I know, like server programming, Unity programming, iOS, Android, all that stuff, that's all come through like necessity and like just personal interest, and even blockchain programming. But yeah.
Yep. So that's what I also emphasize over time as well. So over here, people are like, what topic should I learn? We just tell them, what games do you want to make, right? Start making them and you'll stumble upon problems along the way.
I actually faced a issue with that, which I would love to, I hope it helps people here, is that like, when I was thinking of games I want to make, I would always think of it from a perspective of what am I capable of? Case up, say I would design the game mechanics and all. That's not how you. This actually I learned from Pravan. Like when we were designing it and when we were talking about what we should build and all. Like it's like, don't think of what you can build. Think of exactly what you want to build. If you had every single skill, then go and figure it out.
Yep. Let's just dive in and figure everything out. You have Discord, that everything is there at your fucking feet. All you need to do is just Google stuff.
No, I don't think there's any excuse anymore of like why you can't learn about it at least. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Pranav, your case is also, sorry, I keep saying Pranav. Even
happens my entire life.
Yeah, sorry. So Pravan, your case is interesting, right? Because you worked already in like fintech space. How did you actually stumble into gaming, and what are your learnings outside of, say, when you moved from fintech to gaming? What was the most exciting thing for you when you actually
always loved games, right? Like, so me and Mikhail have always bonded. Like one of our, like, as cousins, our growing up thing has always been like gaming. We've been like gaming together all the time. And for me, I don't look at it as a game as such. I look at it more like anything is like product building, or like I want to build, like I like building companies, you can say. So when I joined Mikhail in Dirtcube, we didn't actually start off with gaming as such, of just building a one-off game. We wanted to actually set up a company which is building multiple games. At the same time, we wanted to build more of an interactive media company. So so there was a business side to it. There was like there was obviously a creative side to it and a tech side to it. And we thought that we could, like, you know,
have a variety of
way we can balance those roles. Getting into games, even today, I say that, like, while I sit and like we're ideating games together, we're ideating the product together, and this current project that we're doing is not only about a game in itself, right? It's like this Metaverse project, which is far more than a single game. It has so many facets to it. So I won't say like I got into just game development. I'm not into game development itself. I'm like a founder of a game development company, which I think has far more facets to it.
Yeah,
right.
Okay. Sounds interesting, right? You mentioned like you have always been into games, but on the job, I'm guessing while you actually dove into it, you might have had some sort of learnings that you just think of before you started off.
Learnings, because I came into like the game development cycle, and like, you know, how to build a game was, I came into it with a blank slate, like, to be very honest. Like I had no like direct like idea about the tech involved of making a game. That's something which I've picked up on the way. Now today, like I know the various challenges which are there in it. What would be the learnings? Now I'm trying to think, like, what would be a learning?
I'm guessing you started off as like a interactive media company, like you said. I'm guessing you were doing services at some point of time as well.
So we did at some point take it, because, you know, like पैसे भी बनाने हैं ना, like while doing it we have to run the company also.
That's the businessman talking.
So we had to do
Sex,
that.
we went like, oh, pesa.
Right. So learnings were dime a dozen. In like, the fact is we went into it in a very naive attitude, right? Like when we're starting off the company, we're starting off at that age, we think, okay, like, we have talent, like we're good. Mikhail has this tech background, we'll get 2-3 developers and we'll make the game. But what are the learnings is that it's not only about making a game that you like. You have to get product market fit. You need to know what the market wants. You need to also know when to like stop building and start understanding if there's a response to what you are building. Yep. Whereas if you like told us if you asked me 3-4 years back, I think both of us would say, okay, let's just make our dream game. We'll take how much of our time and then we'll put it out in the market and then we'll see what happens, which is I think what it goes through every startup founder faces. That then you get the reality check and then you realize that now you need to have an MVP approach. You need to get response and then build.
It's something that we kind of take for granted. Like when you see a big company release a massive hit or something, like you see the hit, you don't see all the steps and the approaches that were done before that for them to even understand what they're building. And I think that was one of the biggest mistakes we made with Rainbow Riders, is that if you see it, like when we give this game to like anyone to play, like, like publishers, they all say phenomenal game. Marketability, like, so it was like, as a game, if you play it, like people who enjoy puzzle games and all, we've always got amazing feedback from all of them. The artwork is super polished, everything. It's just that I guess the market did not accept it. And in the end, it's about what the market wants. Like if they don't
and fail early.
Yeah.
Like, however quicker you get to know if it's working, not working.
That was a key takeaway from hyper casual. It's like freaking test it, fail, get rid of it, change, pivot, whatever you have to do, but don't build the full game and then realize it's done. Like,
right. Yep. So identifying mistakes early, and you mentioned a very important topic that I also emphasize on a lot, called the MVP. Can you elaborate on what an MVP is and how you actually go about setting it up?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
What MVP is in the game dev context, and how you basically test whether an MVP is working or not.
Right. So an MVP in the game development is essentially like a very small slice of your game. Like even something as simple as like testing out visuals. Like for example, now you want to build, let's say, a character-based game or something. You don't build the full game out. You can even do something as simple as you build a small little environment, one level, with semi-polished, like decently polished visuals and everything, and you have your base character system and you move around. And you can even simulate the gameplay. You don't have to actually build out the gameplay. Like you can create an animation timeline to, like, for example, if it's an FPS, like shooting or whatever, and you can test it out as simply as like running Instagram ads to see how many people are actually clicking or interested in whatever simulation you have created, right? That is the easiest, fastest way to kind of test out a core mechanic, like not coding it through a timeline or something, just simulating it. Right now, an MVP in your game would of course consist of your core mechanic, maybe 1-2 levels with core gameplay. And again, similar testing procedures. You get people to play it, see how they understand the mechanics, whether they need an in-depth tutorial or something to be able to play your game, right? And and then you keep building on top of that, keep adding features as you test at each cycle, right? So yeah, I mean, that's essentially what the MVP approach is.
And how the market is responding to it, right? Yeah. Which is why the hyper casual experience is really helpful, because in hyper casuals, we don't even we have development cycles which are like a week and a half.
Yeah.
And that also sometimes we are told is too much when we are working into
something. Oh yeah, like one time we built a prototype for Quali, and they were like, why have you built this prototype? Like, because we have to test it. And they're like, you could easily have just picked up animation from the asset store, put it in here and just made a timeline. No game required, just put an animation. When you click play, that animation plays, that's it. Oh, okay. So that was the thing.
So while that is in the hyper casual context, now you say that you are building a slightly larger game. I think it's more about like the core, like, are you bringing the core features that you are doing? You don't have to make each feature the best that feature has to offer. But say you are building something which is social and you're trying to push social, you're trying to push multiplayer, trying to push a core gameplay loop. If you can just bring that bare bones and people respond well, you know that when you expand on those features, that people are going to like it a lot. But don't build out everything in entirety, that like and make everything like highly polished to an extent, because also you want to keep giving people things down the line, right?
Yep. So not staying in your echo chamber, being in touch with the realities of the industry as well.
Yeah, always be in touch with reality. Like that's something that, like, especially very passionate people are sorry, not that's a misstatement. Very artistically driven, of like people who have like head in the clouds and all, they forget that in the end, no matter what you build, however polished, however great, whatever, if the market doesn't accept it, it is technically a flop.
Yep. Yep.
Right?
Yep. So you worked in the service space, you worked in the, I'm guessing, on your own games as well. Outside of this, how did you like end up with the current product that you're building? What actually fascinated you? And just to like dumb it down for people, I myself am not completely comfortable when any one of these guys ask me what is a metaverse. I'm like, let me let me
Nobody's comfortable. Don't worry. That's not
like I know what it is, but I cannot explain it to you guys. So
Right.
you guys, I think, would be more comfortable explaining it to them since you guys are actively working on a product.
So I'll just start off by how we actually landed up at what we're building, and then Pravan can walk you through the metaverse because he's very good at explaining that. Okay, so like I said, like after Hypercasual, we were thinking about a project that we could really sink our teeth into, something that could be like a long-term thing for the company, you know, and not just quick and throwaway kind of thing. So we actually originally started out by looking, because at that point, like MPL, Winzo, real money gaming was really blowing up. Like this was, I think, like around bang in the middle of COVID or so. Yeah. And so the idea originally started that, we have experience in social, we have experience in games, and we have experience in like app development and all. Why don't we build a real money gaming app with like a more immersive experience rather than just like this blank slate, like where you just go play and that's it, like, you know, add good social engagement, all that kind of stuff, right? And we started conceptualizing that. But as we progressed with that idea, we realized that by like with like existing players and everything, right? And then we just thought, like, how can we make this better? How can we make it more engaging? Like, really focus on what we really wanted is that making competitive gaming a truly immersive experience. And in the past, we had kind of floated an idea of like a virtual theme park where, you know, like we simulate like old school arcade games and all, and people can come play, engage, all that stuff. And so then we're like, oh, why don't we revisit that idea and like model this into that, right? So that's why then we said that, okay, like, why don't we just create a virtual land where we have these a variety of games. People can not only like play the games, they can like physically meet each other through virtual avatars and everything, socialize, you know, chat, whatever, and compete and actually earn like real prizes and money. And also it's essentially a real money gaming in a virtual land, right? And then we started development on that idea, and it was going well. We had a proof of concept and everything. And luckily, or because we had thought foresight, I don't know, Facebook then changed its name to Meta, and this whole metaverse, crypto, blockchain just like exploded. And then we were like, you know what, we're kind of, again, this is another example of like keeping an eye on the market. We were like, yeah, we are literally perfectly positioned and we have a tangible product like underway to pivot into the space. And so that's when we started building out ideas to incorporate Web3, metaverse concepts, blockchain tokens, all that kind of stuff into this. And that's how we've landed up at what we are right now.
Correct. So yeah, I mean,
as far as metaverse goes,
what is the metaverse?
Yeah.
So I mean, when you say that, like, it's tough to answer because like the word is widely misused, right? Like it's not misused; it's just used for everything now. So when you're saying like today, a metaverse in essence, it's like it's these virtual world building platforms, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be a Web3 product. Now, if you take Facebook's metaverse, it's just a world building platform. Anyone, like it's a creator economy, like it's a product for the creator economy where anyone can plug into that and build. And essentially we are going through one world to another world. And so it gives you this essence of the multiverse, a digital multiverse. But of course, like when we talk about it, we talk about it with the Web3 element to it. So like the Web3 metaverse. So to answer what is a Web3 metaverse, I think I'll just give a little brief on how the concepts of Web3 and the concepts of the metaverse and gaming, like they all align. right? So like Web3, and like we're talking about this next evolution in the internet, right? We're talking about how the web is now going to move to a more decentralized stage. So while the underlying architecture is not fully defined of what is Web3, it's still to be defined by the people in this space. There's a general consensus that it's going to be enabled and connected by decentralized technology. And by that, I mean like blockchain technology. And so the metaverse in the Web3 context is positioned where you're bringing blockchain technology into these world building platforms and interconnecting them through that
to secure them
and to transfer. Basically, you're able to transfer value across games or within the same game or within developers within us, like people are building for the same platform. So it's like you're not giving it like Mikhail says this well, that when you're saying that the Web 2 was a dictatorship, Web 3 is a democracy. So it's like our platform itself, like anyone can plug and build for the platform. And so that creates experiences which are built from different people. So that is
it's a community driven world in essence, you know, like before it was just Web 2 and everything is it's like a product that's given straight to the consumers, take it or leave it. Here it's like the entire experience, the world, the platform is not just developed by one single entity. It grows and evolves
with the community.
Yeah.
And since now there is this blockchain element for it, right? This has benefits to a game development company. It has benefits for the gamer itself. So why should we do this becomes a question, right? Like, why do you need to do this? Like
why would a community contribute to a platform?
Because here the blockchain allows us, and this decentralized way of doing things within gaming or within the metaverse allows you to distribute value equitably to all the participants in the network. Whereas today, when you were playing a game all this time, you were playing the game, that everything you owned within the game, you didn't actually own. You didn't actually own those assets, or anything you did within this game is not transferable in economic value terms outside the game. So it's a closed economy. Whereas the metaverse is an open economy. Yeah. So even the metaverse you can define as, say, a game like Sandbox, or even the game we're going to show you all, where many people are building within the game and we're transferring value to everyone within our game. But there's also the overarching metaverse, which is the metaverse between even another crypto gaming platform and my gaming platform, where the value that you got within my platform today, because there's a cryptocurrency involved, you can actually be transferring that value into another gaming platform. And hopefully the ideal dream case, I think one day, is when the games themselves are, interoperable.
Yeah, like my character in this game can be used somewhere else. That right now is technologically oof.
but that is one of
that's one of the theoretical best dream cases, you know. And as far as gaming goes, like gamers, I would say gamers are fully familiar with the metaverse, because games in and of themselves are metaverse. They're virtual worlds, right? Like I would argue that even something like World of Warcraft could be counted as a metaverse. It's just that this term has now become mainstream. World of Warcraft, I know several friends of mine who they transferred value outside the game by doing this. They'd create an account, they'd build up a character, they'd build up an asset, sell off their account. So that's how they did it. There were always jugadu ways to do that. Now the blockchain is allowing that in a streamlined, secure way, right?
And you're removing that fraudulent aspect of the whole thing. Yeah. You're giving true ownership, immutable, unchangeable, it's secure. And whether the game, and also people can contribute, people are like, incentives are aligned, right? Like today as the gamer and the game developer, since there's this token involved and everyone is earning it, if we also own that token, everyone is aligned to build the game together, make the game more community driven, participate in that community, because it's creating value for everyone.
Yeah, plus the added layer, like you said, is since everyone is contributing, you can identify the biggest contributors for the platform, ask them for feedback, then vote among yourself. Everyone basically has taken the can decide what features need to be implemented for the tech stack itself, and that I find very liberating, that I get a say on what kind of platform we're going to build going forward.
Absolutely. So we are, because there's this token aspect, right? Like community voting becomes so much like easier, and it's such a more like, it's a process where the people who have the most stake in the platform are being given a correct, like they're represented in their equitable value, like in the correct way. And so the voting decisions, however the platform is moving, is driven by the people most involved in the game itself.
Yep. So now that we basically understood what the metaverse concept is, what is Dirtcube's product? What are you guys trying to build that's different from all the metaverse concepts that's out there right now?
Sure. So yeah, like essentially what we are building, like right now our game's title is called, it's Game Stars. It's a virtual esports gaming platform, right? Where secured by the blockchain, of course, like, and where we have a variety of games, and of course down the line, once we incorporate further functionality and all, where external game developers, community members will be able to build experiences within the world itself and grow this whole platform as a whole, right? And essentially this is a place to kind of like be who you are with your avatar and everything, to build whatever you want to build. Like for example, now Sandbox or something, you are limited to their tools, their look, their feel, their whatever mechanics they have pre-coded or something. Whereas we are kind of building, you can think of it as a metaverse, how do you say it, like distribution platform almost, where you can build anything and integrate it into our world.
So we're a game distribution platform, but in the metaverse, and we are essentially also bringing a lot of access. So what are we doing different in this world is we want to bring this blockchain gaming to the masses. We want to bring accessibility. There's a lot of hurdles in the whole process right now. Like it's not easy for someone to get onto any of these games and play them personally. It requires, like, it doesn't even work like on my computer, like which we are working here. Sometimes there are problems. So we want to bring it to mobile gaming. So we are a mobile first metaverse. We want to make it accessible to an Indian audience, which we feel is smartphone driven. And yeah, but we at the same time don't want to compromise on production value. And we want to bring competitive gaming to it, true competitive gaming. So many of the gaming metaverses, which they are, the games are a little smaller piece of it. It's more about the social elements, where we have the social exploration elements, but competitive gaming and true esports is what we want to bring into it.
Yeah. Right. And so why don't we just start off?
We can show it to you guys.
So that would be like, we can show you a quick trailer and maybe a little brief demo if my phone is functional right now. But I'm going to share my screen. Yeah.
Yep. Let's just test it out for a bit. Can you try? I'll let you know.
Just a moment. This Google Chrome. Yeah. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep. Guys, just let us know as well if you guys are able to see in the chat.
Yep.
Cool.
So yeah, this teaser is actually like from a build or anything. This is not like pre-animated or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it's an exclusive unlisted.
Trailer.
Okay, that was a lot. So how many I was like, okay, there's a racing game, okay, there's a shooting game, okay, there's
yeah, so that So it's not just the games, like the racing thing and all is actually part of the world. Like, that's like a race themed world, which is like a full on obstacle course with tracks where you can go and like in a car and it's like banter, move around, drive, whatever.
So the world itself is interactable and everything, and there are external games as well as internal games.
Yeah. And then we have like avatar customization and all that. Like I can give you a brief demo if you'd like, if we have time or something. But yeah.
Yep. Feel free to, like, if you want to do it right now, we can do it right now. Otherwise, I have a lot to unpack just from this 2-minute video as well.
Oh, you do? Okay, no, then let's go ahead with that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. I have like a simple question, right? You have these 4 islands, right?
Yeah.
Are each of these theme based, or are each of these, like, say you want to play sports titles like air hockey, or arcade titles like you said, air hockey, billiards, your carom, whatever. There's a specific island for that, or is it like more of a you just explore and figure out what's there, and Elden Ring style, so you stumble upon stuff along the way?
So within the 4, so this is like as we told you, this is an ever evolving platform, right? It's going to be like, we're going to be adding more islands, but this is like GameStar's hub. This is like GameStar Central.
The central islands. Yeah.
These are the central islands which are theme based. So you have your sports island, you have this racing island, you have this board game island, which is Dice City, you have the arcade world, and we even have a casino island. So these islands are, because we wanted to thematically, you do stumble upon them because you're exploring and you're stumbling upon it, but each island is themed. We tried to encapsulate the feeling of what a casino world would be, what a sports world would look like, because like it's not all like anything anywhere. And the central hub has the arcade world with all the more miscellaneous games. So yeah, that's the look and feel we have.
Like the thematically how they play into this is that, yeah, of course there are those, like you saw, there were games which are not with this art style. That's what I meant by you can build anything and integrate it into this, Now, where the thematic approach plays into it is that, for example, the race world, the entire world is a massive race track with like loop-the-loops, obstacle courses, and you would have like cars over there, which you can even unlock your own vehicles and stuff, and just go around there and just drive and have fun, Then, like, for example, now the Dice City is what we're calling the board game world. So, like, over there, you may have seen the Ludo board kind of thing, and there's a chess board where we would have in-world interactions as well. So not just controlled by the rules of a game, but like, for example, that if you've seen a physical chessboard in real life, like those kind of pieces would be there. You can take your avatar and move and have a free chess game. Have a free chess game, like without any game manager or anything interfering. Like you just find a friend and they come and you just play a chess game as you see fit, Then like, what else was there? Hang on, I forgot what I was going to say. Never mind. Continue. Yeah.
So outside of this, how do you how does the token itself work, right? So if I'm, say, playing a FPS game, is it that whatever I earn over there, am I able to transfer it over into other games? Maybe play along with those and then build my arsenal along the way?
So there's not going to be a separate token per game, right? Like you're going to have one. We have our currency, which will be called Sky. And that is the currency of the world. That's the currency of the GameStar's universe. Our universe is called like Indus, and the token is Sky. And you'll be competing in whether you're competing in the racing game or you're competing in the other game. You're going to be competing with the Sky token, and you can earn it. The Sky token is also going to be exchangeable for any NFTs that you want to purchase. It's also going to be like, there's also this land purchasing, like, so there's islands and all can be.
Yeah, so So the core model for the token is that, aside from all these things that Pravan mentioned, the core model is that we have a variety of different competitions, right? It could be like weekly competitions, daily competitions, even an all-round like PlayStars competition, throughout a leaderboard throughout every game over there. You pay an entry fee to enter a competition, and then at the end of the competition, you get the prizes. Now, these would be token entry fees and token prizes, right?
And our experience with the token, right? So when we're building out the token, we actually have this clan-based structure to this entire game. Currently, the token is not involved. Currently, the game is happening with this real money gaming element where you're going and competing. Now, when we're actually going to have 4 clans in this world, and there's going to be as Mikhail said, this overarching PlayStars competition. GameStars, our original name was first PlayStars, we've changed it. But there's going to be this overarching GameStars competition that is going to be happening every season. And people are going to be using like this Sky to actually, first you have to enter, to be eligible to enter into that competition. You need to have like this clan pendant. So there's this buying the NFT of the clan pendant to enter it. With that, you're then going to be participating, and every type of person, every sort of stakeholder within this universe is going to be participating in their own way. So the islands that we sell are also going to be clan based. So there are going to be islands of the red clan. There are going to be islands of the, say, right now we've not got the names totally down. So I'm going to say red, blue, green, yellow if you have. So these red, blue, green, yellow clans, actually they're going to be based on the original game stars that we have, and we have this whole backstory.
The mythology that we're building.
Right. And so you're going to be part of this clan. You're going to purchase this clan pendant. You're going to participate in competitions. The stakeholders include like game developers, indie game developers, bigger gaming studios. So the money that they earn as well, right? So this is like actually a nation competition by building experiences and dashboard that we built, and how many people participate in their competitions, their earnings, as well as the gamers themselves who are part of their clans, their earnings, as well as the artists who are creating and the avatars which are sold and the different items that are sold. All these things will contribute towards which clan wins the Game Stars final, the rewards at the end. And that is how the token is also going to be distributed through these competitions. But everything is going to be through competitions. Yeah.
Okay. So the problem.
Environment, economy, everything is a full-on competition, just like real life, kind of, you know.
Yep. So the biggest problem that I think of as a game dev when you're building a platform like yours then becomes balancing tokenomics with the kind of games that are in there, right? In my head, that seems like the biggest pain point. Okay, how much should I reward players if they are investing 10 minutes to a FPS game, whereas if they're simply playing an air hockey game for 2 minutes, what should the ideal reward be? So how do you normally go about setting up or deciding on what balance works, what doesn't?
Right. So actually, we are going to be using this machination. I don't know how many people are familiar with machinations as a software. We're actually going to be use that to, like, because this is going to be the biggest make or break, right, of this industry also in general, is that how are you balancing the supply and demand of the token? Because otherwise there's so you need to create an inherent demand. Otherwise it's pretty much a gimmick that you're putting out there. So, I mean, the inherent demand that we need to, how are we going to balance that? How much are you going to give? I don't think in a competitive model that comes into play that much, because you're building competitions of different ranges. So if you're just saying with the type of games that we are making, every game will have competitions of different sizes. People are using an entry fee, they are entering the game, and whoever's winning is getting more of the tokens. The supply and demand more comes on how are they going to use this token outside of the gaming. Besides the game itself, do they have anything else to do? So there are these games which are there, they're going to play them, they're going to earn. Many people might not want to play, they can even play the game for free and explore. But is there any sink for their currency? Is there any sink that is going to come across? And that is about how we generate, how the content and how the content appeals to the people. So how you even block experiences, how much can they explore? If they have, so say for example, there are islands which they can't go to. And if you're just giving out, daily rewards of the sky currency, or giving out weekly rewards of the sky currency, and you're giving out monthly rewards on everything they give, they keep earning the sky currency, you're going to inflate the economy like crazy. And finally, there's going to be no value for your token. So you need to sync this. You also need to be allocating the way you allocate the supply over time needs to be very correct. So that is our whole, we've devised our tokenomic schedule. We've studied a bunch of different tokenomic schedules. We've also tried to see how the inflation is changing year on year. Also, this has to be little give and take based on how things go. So say, for example, what we do, we try to create user profiles, right? We try to create what are the different types of people who would play this game. There's going to be someone who's competing. There's going to be someone who might just be exploring. And there's going to be people who actually want to participate in the growth of this world and actually feel, and there are going to be people who want to be like brand, like they want to build their own brand in this metaverse. And so we try to see how these different people are going to engage with the platform, how much tokens would they need to engage them. And we try to see, okay, where can we make them, that kind of person, utilize the token? Where is he going to feel a need? And if he's not feeling that need, you have to evolve. You have to evolve to create that need within that person. And so we set out a series of different kinds of options, different sides of okay, if he does this, then he would do that. If he didn't do this, he did this. Where do we need to evolve over time? And we try to build a model of that. We actually are using this machination software to build that out. We actually work closely with them in order to make sure that we can balance our token and use simulations to see what would happen in different scenarios.
So machinations is a online tool that allows you to actually create these models, sources, sinks that You can have triggers for, like, for example, a player entering a competition, all that kind of stuff. You can just set up a visual simulation, like graphical flow structure. Like, it's difficult to explain. You need to check it out yourself, but you can set up your entire economy as a model, like your overarching economy. Then each module of your economy, you can go into further and further detail, and that's how you can just fine tune the numbers as well.
And use
So it is
like
a process.
probabilistic,
It's a
use
long process.
like a lot of probabilistic, like,
Yeah, you have to
scenarios
make assumptions and like change your assumptions and such on the fly as well.
but it allows you to see what would happen if this took place, what would happen if this took place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So like to break it down for you guys, if you guys have any people in the chat, if you played like Civ 6 or Prison Architect or these kind of games where your decisions inherently are going to basically modify how the game plays out. So over here it's just real life and you're actually building a startup out of it.
you're
where
building an economy, right? Like by releasing this currency, you are like an RBI sitting and saying, and now you are controlling the monetary supply, the fiscal policy. You are like making these decisions, and of course, these decisions have to evolve, right? Like you're not going to be able to say 5 years exactly how things are going to play out, but you have to start with a very correct set, at least good set of assumptions, and then you make decisions how they would play.
And of course, study similar products for sure. Like, it's like if I sit today and I was like, oh, I wanna make a supply of like 40 billion tokens. That's stupid. Like, look at Sandbox, look at Decentraland, and then think exactly what would be feasible for you. For example, now one of our biggest points was like, oh, how do we determine a total supply for our token? And we were just looking. There was like literally no answer anywhere. Then through a lot of like digging and diving in and all, we realized that, oh, like the total supply of the token is actually an arbitrary number or a number that means something to the developers. The main driving force behind that number is psychology. It's like in a game, if I have a total, I can have a total supply of 1 and then divide it up into 0.00111, all the decimal places. But to a gamer, if I tell you, oh, you earn 0.0002, he's going to be like, get out. Why am I getting such a small amount? Like, for them, it's more like, oh, I've earned like 10,000, 50,000, like it's a psychological game.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have some questions in the chat. Sky's the limit. Like the moment you said sky, right? I was like, Shruti is going to make a pun. Shruti, and she did. Cool.
Do we open the chat? Oh, there we go.
Yep. So yeah, right.
What are we answering?
Are the servers gonna be in a decentralized fashion like Decentraland, or does it have a centralized server like VR chat?
Right. So right now, while we're developing and all, it is a centralized server. We're using AWS for hosting the server and stuff. Decentralization of servers, we haven't exactly thought of that yet, but it is on the agenda. Like,
so currently, I think we are thinking of like a hybrid model to this entire thing, where the server, a lot of the gameplay, the game itself, everything is going to be taking place in a centralized manner. But it's the assets, the in-game items, and the token, these are going to be on the blockchain. So these are going to be working in a decentralized manner, whereas the game itself will be in a centralized manner.
Cool. So overall, I'm guessing like it's easy to think of like, okay, I want to set it up in such a way that it simulates Decentraland, but setting up decentralized servers, like it's not a small task in shape of.
Decentraland and them have also reached the stage after 5 years and stuff, like that. Yeah.
Cool. Pookie Mins, okay, if that's your name, asks what is game scripting, how to import. This is more of a technical question that you can ask me during the meta sessions. So if there's anything that you want to ask related to Metaverse, how these guys have built a startup around the Metaverse, what were the challenges that these guys faced, feel free to drop them in the chat. In the meantime, I would love to like ask you more questions. Like the product itself seems very fascinating to me because I've not seen something like this so far, right? So if I'm like an indie developer who wants to develop on your platform, what according to you would be the criteria based on which you decide that, okay, this game is good enough to go live on a platform?
Right. So obviously one thing we would have initially, at least, we would need actually not even initially, in general, we would need a review process to make sure that it's a game, that it's an actual game or something, not some, for example, like porn or some shit. I don't know. Like, what, like something fitting community and safety guidelines and stuff like that, right? Secondly, like like I would say art, visual value, of course, but in essence, like what we want to do with this is like we want to make it free, where like you can put in whatever the hell you want as long as it's not offending anyone.
So there are a certain community guidelines which you need to follow, and there's a review, but there's nothing that you can't build or something that we can say is not worthwhile to be on this, because we want to make this platform in. That's the whole idea, right? Like to make this platform, and once we start launching all these islands, and that you as a game developer can actually rent out spaces on these islands and build on them, and you can monetize it for yourself. What you build is up to you. We want the platform to expand in so many ways. We want to incentivize you to build good things rather than tell you what to.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we create the tokenomics and all, is to that in and of itself, like if your game is, if you're going to make a crappy game and people aren't playing it, you're going to earn nothing from it. So it's not even worth your time to do that, right? Whereas like if you have a great game, people are entering competitions for your game and everything, then great, you're earning from it. So that
because you have also made a payment to be a part of it. So you are already getting into you're making a monetary investment to build something for the platform. So I guess that is the incentive, and that is like how the crypto economics or psychology is built. Even like blockchain in general is like incentivizing you to do the right thing for the network itself. So yeah.
Now someone has asked this question, like in our opinion, do you think video games in the metaverse is safe and not dangerous of any kind? That depends on the game, I guess. Like I would say, like even GTA Online, if you say there are people saying that, oh, it's a dangerous game, it's violent and everything. So yeah, unless
that's a community guidelines come into place.
Yeah, and that's why right now, at least in this point in the industry's state and everything, I don't think that we are still very far from true decentralization. Like there has to be some kind of governing format, because there will be bad actors in this thing. Like Facebook's metaverse, like the first thing when Horizon Worlds launched, there's a sexual harassment lawsuit.
Yep.
So it really depends.
And yeah, so talking about like Facebook's thing, see, the metaverse itself there's the aspect of the level of visual immersion, right? Like, so when you're talking about what Facebook is doing, when you're doing a virtual reality experience, right? Safety, I think those guidelines are still to be built out in that space, because that space is so new. Whereas mobile gaming, or you say PC gaming, has existed for some time. I think those guidelines would continue in the same way. It's not in the VR experience. I think that's probably what is being referred to over here in terms of safety. That would be slightly to be seen how it would work out.
What is the first question, Piyush?
Okay. Again, I'm guessing we've already covered it. Piyush, like if you can point them to me or let me know. Okay. Challenges faced from family while building game arts company. Okay, this has been interesting. Like, at least let me answer. I come from a very privileged background where people don't ask, in my family don't ask me for monetary things or money as such. So I was free to explore what I want to explore, but would love to understand how you also got into this space as well.
That way, yeah, we have the full support of our family. That we have been very, very lucky in that sense, where our family doesn't understand a thing about this. Like every day, my dad is like, "Where is the money?" I'm like, "Wait, yeah." Like the fact that I've gotten over here, that we've gotten over here in like a span of 6 months. Whatever you're seeing was built in a span of 6 months or less, right? That is in and of itself is like huge. Like the money will come, just hang on. But other than that, they have always, like, they're still pushing us to like keep doing what we love, essentially. So we've been.
And I think the challenges, while we've had like, we were privileged to have family that has supported us in a big way. I think the challenges are more internal, right? The challenges of being in this founder space is more internal, because you feel like, are you doing enough? Like, how are people viewing you? There are constant thoughts in your head that, are you when is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? How fast do you need to get things to happen? Because you're taking on that risk, right? Like as a founder, the risk is entirely on you. And so if you can deal with those challenges, and it's more just an internal handling of it, then things finally change. Because in the beginning, there's excitement. Any founder's journey, there's excitement, there's dreaming. Then there's a little bit of reality kicks in. There's a little bit of learning. Then you fail once, you fail twice. And finally, I think you just learn on this thing. And if you keep going at it, which is the most important thing, like I think most companies would fail because people just finally give up. if you just keep learning from everything that's going to happen, I think that's the best way to overcome the challenge, because finally you will be able to hit what you want to hit.
Somebody has asked on LinkedIn Live, how does the economics of a landowner and a renter, say a game developer, work? Why don't you take this one?
Yeah, so how,
interesting.
Within our world, how do the economics of it, like basically how it works in the real world, we're mimicking real world economies. So a landowner within our world would be able to buy islands, right? Like anyone can buy islands, but traditionally they might be even be bought by bigger players. There would be some islands allocated to investors, and we might even like raise direct finance from these islands. And these islands, we have two models that we might be going for. One where there's a direct, like they can rent out the island to any developer and you can build on it. We might also allocate parts of the island using an asset that we're calling a deed asset. So we're going to say like it's actually like you're renting out a deed asset where you can build one experience on that island.
The right to build an experience.
Yeah. Right. And that deed asset itself is also can be sold around. So
yeah, proper, like think of running an arcade on a piece of land that you just rented.
Or a mall where you're like renting out a little shopping space to do what you want to.
Yep. But
you're more ideal, since you are paying this rent, like it's about decisions that you need to make. Like how would you do this if you are doing this in real life? That's how the economics work. Like the landowner is going to charge you something to rent it. Obviously, he's not going to charge you something in which you can't make. If you're not able to make any money off it and you're not able to pay him, then you're not going to rent it. He's not going to earn anything. The market forces take care of themselves. They take care of themselves in the real world. They will take care of themselves here. There's not like set prices as such. The market will decide. Like he's going to rent it. Say he rents it to a bigger studio, he rents it to an indie game developer, depending how you want to rent out the island. Like you're going to play it out. And also, why would one island be more attractive to another? Then it's like, okay, I would just rent out to the big studios and not do it, because even island placement comes into it, right? Like you want to buy something here that you want to be next to particular attractions. So the location on the map would also affect the economics for the landowner. That would ideally then affect the economics for the developer. That would affect how much you could earn.
And this whole rental model also takes care of what you asked, is like why would people want to build quality experiences and stuff. It's like if I'm renting a deed or something, I better make something that's also going to make money. Otherwise, my tokens and all are going to go, right?
Yep. Cool. Anand again asked, will your game have VR?
We hope one day.
We hope, but right now we are fully, like Pravan said, right now we are fully focused on mobile and tablet, because we really want to make this a big thing in India. And India in the next 4 to 5 years is going to be a huge smartphone boom. And of course, phones are going to become more and more powerful, right? VR 100%. I personally, him as well, we would love to have it on VR. And luckily, coding wise, we have designed our entire control system, everything where like if you tell me port it to PC in a week, it can be done. Yeah.
Sounds good. So modularity again, as important as it can be.
Yeah.
Outside of this, I'm also curious about one thing. It was there in my mind. I just lost it. So like you said, a person can then basically, how do you set stuff in such a way? So say EA builds like a battle royale and in your island, like kick-ass game, everyone's like फाड़ के CCU hai, daily active users are there. What kind of target audience would you be looking at outside of the big studios for the little games that are inside in the metaverse as well?
What is our target audience for what can be built? I don't think like we look at it as so exactly like we are not looking at it as what is, see, our target. We are setting the initial style, we're setting the initial like how the game is, how the game evolves is up to the people within the network, right? So like I mean, if you're saying they're going to build like a AAA game and put it there, it's like, okay, great if they do, but I don't see that being ideally what would suit this. They might like the experiences we would see is something that are really good games, high production game, but like still smaller in size than that.
Yeah. And also like we are also, let's be very transparent, we are also still at a stage where yes, we have built this and everything, but we are also learning, right? Because this is a new thing for anyone in India, any studio in India. And that's why right now we are phasing out our launch as well. Like right now, what you saw right now, we have not integrated any crypto, nothing. We are focused purely on gameplay, world building, And like I said, the core mechanics, the very bare bones MVP, having competitions, having people engage, play each other, multiplayer, all that kind of stuff.
And let's see if they can enjoy that. That's the whole thing.
First, we see if they can enjoy that. Then, of course, while we're doing this, we would also be building our community, because that is the most important thing. Like Pravan said, the community is going to be what drives this product. How we're doing that is we have built our own Discord server. Of course, it's not live yet because we are not launching. Once we launch it, then it'll be live and everything. Where we will constantly be engaging. Like if any of you are a part of crypto gaming discords and everything, similarly engaging with our community, getting constant feedback, reacting to their feedback, right? So this is a learning process for us just as much as it is for anyone else, like engaging with it.
Cool. We were already over time. I'll just stay respectful of your time as well. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to like turning dictatorship into democracy. Like that was the takeaway for me, at least in the gaming space out of this conversation. Any closing remarks from your side before we end?
No, so this was actually a very first talk that we've given, and yeah,
Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I hope we have been able to provide any kind of insight to whoever's listening in on this. And if we haven't, then we will in the future, I guess.
Or I was just a bad host, then just let me know if I didn't
Not
ask.
at all, man. Not at all. That was extremely
No. I think actually the session was really, really great. We actually loved it. The audience is loving it. And I'm just here to ask you guys, Mikhail and Pravan, are you by any chance, are you guys in Bangalore this weekend?
We are not right now, actually. Yeah, like we are actually, like we said, we're close to a pre-alpha launch. Pre-alpha in the sense, like I said, very.
So all you guys can look out for that. We're going to be doing
Yeah.
a small marketing boost, like little marketing campaign where we want people to join our Discord community, and we're going to allow people to be like first users of the app. So
yeah, like look out on LinkedIn. We'll put a post out, and then if you guys are interested, you can shoot us emails and stuff and join in on our Discord community.
Well, the gates of our Discord community are open. Come in and we'll let everyone know about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was asking because we were actually hosting a game industry meetup in Bangalore this weekend.
Right. Yeah, so right now we're in the middle, bang in the middle of like the final development sprint. So we have to be here, unfortunately. But shoot, yeah, if we had completed all that, we could have come joined it. But maybe next time.
Yep. If it's in Mumbai again.
Oh, 100%. If it's in Mumbai, just shoot us a email, call, whatever we're there.
Piyush, get on it.
Yep, bunch of requests from Mumbai already. So next is Mumbai.
Okay, guys. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be in touch. Again, everyone in the community, feel free to get in touch with them on LinkedIn.
Shoot us feedback, anything, yeah.
Yep, give them feedback. If there's any ideas in your head that you want to convey across, feel free to reach out to them on LinkedIn as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool, guys.
Well, guys, whoever's attending, thanks so much for engaging with us.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, bye. Thank you so much.